Are you a team manager struggling to lead your team well? Have you been asked to lead HR, but it's your first time? Or are you an HR pro looking for your tribe? While We Were Working is the show for you. With quick tips and tough topics in 30 minutes or less, the Jumpstart HR team is here for you. So let's get into it. Hey, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are tuning in. I hope you get an opportunity to get some downtime in your day and catch up on some of the topics that you may have missed while you were working. This is our weekly LinkedIn Live as well as podcast to cover some of the topics in HR and people leadership that you may have missed because we're all busy these days. So it's our job to help you catch up and have something to say at the virtual water cooler. I'm your co-host Joey Price, founder of Jumpstart HR, and Sommer Ketron is with us as well. Go ahead, say hi, Sommer.
Hi, everybody.
Awesome, awesome. And we just want to talk a little bit about just some fun things that are happening. So, real quick shout out though, I want to congratulate the team for our debut. We debuted at 112 on the Apple Podcasts in the management column. So I have to thank our team, but also have to thank you, the listener, and you, the viewer, on LinkedIn and on podcasts, who's getting the word out about this. Summer and I were chatting. It's a pretty competitive category because if there is a business pod, it's gonna be in the management because a lot of people have awesome voices and perspectives on management. So that's pretty cool. But we are coming for that number one spot. So if you like this show, go ahead and leave a 5-star review, um, share about it, give it to some team members so you can listen every week. And one of the things we do every week is high low buffalo. So hey, Summer, go ahead and talk about your high low buffalo and what it is, because there's someone tuning in for the first time who has no idea what we're talking about.
Thanks, Joey. Hilo Buffalo is my favorite part of the week. And for those of you that aren't familiar with it, we do this internally at Jumpstart, and it's also, kind of a great icebreaker or activity for you to do with your team. And it's really short and simple. So we share a high of our week, something that we love, something that went really well. We share a low, something that maybe didn't go so well, and then Buffalo, which is completely anything random that you feel like sharing. And you learn a lot about your team and your friends from doing it. So if you're okay with it, Joey, I'll go ahead and go first.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, you probably noticed I have a little bit of a different background today. And that's because I'm coming to you from the beautiful state of Hawaii this week. And my high is I'm looking forward to seeing the active volcano. So Kilauea is active right now. But tying it to my low, it's actually been raining nonstop. So when people think of Hawaii, they're usually thinking about sunshine and rainbows. But we've actually been on kind of a flood watch. And so to kind of tie that up with a Hawaii themed high-low buffalo, my buffalo is going to shock you, Joey. So,
All right. I'm
so,
sitting down. So
so, so, would you believe that Hawaii, of all places, actually received more snow this past weekend than Boston?
no, I would not believe that because
So,
Boston's in the Northeast. It's cold. You
I
know.
know it. I know it. It's pretty crazy. And actually, I found out that there actually are a few diehards here who ski and snowboard on the volcano when there's snow, but the roads aren't open yet. So as soon as they are, I'm hoping that I can get a glimpse of that, kind of once in a lifetime opportunity.
I hope you get a chance to too, and I hope I get a chance to go to Hawaii. That's so odd that nature's just doing a lot of funny things, and there is global warming, which isn't a topic we're covering today. But that's a fun trivia fact. I didn't realize that you could, surf and ski in the same place. probably within the same day because of that random snowfall. Do you know how much snowfall there was?
I didn't check recently, but when I listened to the forecast, they were expecting up to a foot at that time, and it has been raining for several days straight. So
Okay.
I expect they're probably getting quite a bit.
Okay. Wow. Wow. All right. Well, I think it's my turn, and I will say that my high. We found out yesterday that two of our clients actually made the Forbes under 30 list. And that's a reason to celebrate because the Forbes under 30 list, as much as it acknowledges the leader or a leader in an organization, uh, everybody knows that leaders may get credit, but it's the organization that rallies around them and performs that really should get the true credit. And so
Mhm.
that's one of the reasons why I'm always grateful and thankful for our team here at Jumpstart. But I'm too old to make the Forbes under 30, but never too old to serve customers and clients that can actually reach that. One of our mantras here is that we work with winners, and there are representations of winning out in the world um, that equate to success. But the under 30 recognition by Forbes is one that we're pretty proud of our clients for supporting. So that's my high. My low of the week is that I still have not worked out in like since vacation basically, and I'm usually pretty competitive. I mean, I have these fitness tools that remind you and say, "Hey, keep your streak going." But for some reason, I just have been like, "That I'm okay. I don't feel the urge. I don't feel the need." But I do need to get back into it though. So
Mhm.
maybe those of you who are out there tuning in, if you're working out, post a photo of you exercising, and maybe that'll help with my accountability to get me in the gym. So just tag me on your photos, tag Jumpstart on your photos, and you might inspire my good habits. My buffalo for the week is if you or someone you know is a photographer in the Vegas area, we need to chat. We got some fun things happening next week, and we wanna connect with you. So if you are a photographer in Vegas, like already in Vegas, not like I'll fly to Vegas if you pay that airfare, but somebody that's already there that knows the lay of the land, that would be great. So reach out to us. All right. So that's our high, low Buffalo. Summer, wait, I don't want to put you on blast, but are you an avid workouter person?
I
What,
wish I
what should
could.
what do I need to do to get back?
So I wish I could say yes, Joey. Unfortunately, I don't think that I'm any better, but I do think I hear a little bit of a internal jumpstart challenge coming on. So we'll have to get something going and get us all back on track.
All right. All right. Yeah, I agree. I agree. So then let's transition into our next segment, which is while we were working. And Summer, you want to share what while we were working is all about?
I'd love to, Joey. This is our weekly look at news and current events in the people leadership space. And the article that I wanted to talk about today was actually in the Wall Street Journal a few days ago. And I selected this because I think that it's a question that a lot of HR and leadership are asking themselves right now. And that is, with the recent COVID variant, should companies proceed with in person gatherings? So I was curious, Joey, have you heard about that? And did you get a chance to check out the article?
I did get a chance to check out the article, and I'm glad we got this one because sometimes a lot of great content is behind paywalls, and there are very few pieces of content that I pay for on an ongoing basis, but the journal is one of them. And so I took a look, and we're seeing that. I am seeing folks wonder about pushing their not only their office parties, but like their return to office.
Mhm.
Um, the big thing that I think you called out is that there were 500 inquiries in Sherm about this whole do we pivot and go online? Do we
Mhm.
postpone, or do we meet face to face? So it's a very real topic that is coming up in HR. We have our own plans for a virtual gathering for the holidays with some fun stuff that we're doing. But I had no intention of going to anyone's in-person holiday party um, because it's just still like, why do it if you don't have to? Is
Mhm.
is my thought.
Absolutely, Joey. And to expand on that, I would say that it's definitely a company decision. And I mention that because as we are consulting with our clients, we're having these conversations with them real time as to what do they do, and it's kind of on a day by day basis right now. But as we start getting closer, and some companies had some larger events planned, they are having to kind of make the call right now as to proceed or not. And of course, I'll always lean on the safest approach, which is to switch to virtual. But there are some companies who are proceeding with in-person events, and if they do, that's kind of where we come in and help them with the factors, the considerations that they should be taking into account if they are going to proceed. So, some of those are certainly, can you safely socially distance everyone? And, will you require proof of vaccination? Or some companies are doing, at home testing and providing proof of negative test result. So, these are all different approaches that companies are taking. And so, Joey, I'm curious to know, for employees who can't go for their own reasons or don't feel safe attending, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, so I remember the day, and it's probably still the same, where attending the office party was like the premier office politics thing, where like you had to show up, you had to be there, you had to bring your significant other if you had one, and it was a hard and fast rule of be in there as long as you can, and if you're not having fun, you have to fake it. I remember those, and sometimes I still have to go to those, but um, now I think in light of just how we've grown in our way of life, with regard to mental health, which means if you don't want to show up because you're not feeling well, then we're not going to force you.
Mhm.
To physical safety of if you live with someone who may have a compromised immune system, or you might otherwise put in jeopardy by being in a public space with folks who are shoot, not even unmasked, but just in general gathering in public spaces.
Mhm.
It should be okay to stay home. And then, quite frankly, if your work life requirements or your life requirements s- m- won't allow you to bend things to fit that time slot, then I think you should feel comfortable saying no, and your supervisor should feel no, should be okay with you saying no. So I think that we should challenge this whole idea that the office party is a requirement, but that should also be in lockstep with the fact that your team should feel like they're a part of the team,
Mhm.
whether they're at the party or not. So the actions that we have on an ongoing basis should show people that, hey, you belong here. We appreciate you here. Your contributions matter. So I think that it shouldn't be like a mandatory thing.
I agree 100%, Joey. And, the last thing that I'd like to add to that is just to remind people, leaders, that if your team members choose not to go, that there are other things that you can do to include them. And so, for example, if there were going to be, if there was going to be gifts or something given out at an event, to make sure that they're still included, that they feel like, even though they didn't attend, that they were able to participate in some way.
Yep.
And hopefully, we won't be having this conversation next year, and everybody can get together if that's something they choose to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I love what you said about allowing people to participate, whether they can attend or not. And I think with the power of a video and being able to record things, even if it's a simple greeting of
Mhm.
like, "Hey, sorry couldn't make it, but whatever, here's my happy holidays,"
Mhm.
or social media, contributing to a hashtag, or if you've got a filter or something for the event, have people take pictures with the filter. There's a lot of ways that people can be connected, even if they're not necessarily in the room at the time that
Mhm.
the event's going on.
Absolutely. Well, I hope everybody has very, very happy and safe celebrations this year. It's crazy how fast the holidays have snuck up on us, and certainly, this news of the COVID variant has put an unfortunate spin. But we still have each other. We still have lots of reasons to celebrate, and so looking forward to doing that with all of you and the Jumpstart team.
Definitely, definitely.
So, Joey, you ready to dive into Consultants Corner?
I am ready. Let's get to it.
All right. Well, for our new listeners and viewers, this is our weekly deep dive into stuff that we're seeing, or items that you, our community, want us to discuss. So, if you have a question, or if you have a scenario that you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, email us. You can reach us at hello@jumpstart-hr.com and put "while we were working" in the subject of your email. We promise to keep your names confidential, and as always, we will be honest, open, and transparent in our responses. So, without further ado, Joey, what do we have today?
This week on Consultants Corner is something that w- a lot of people are going through, and whether you are in HR or not, you have to face this question, because it isn't simply an HR issue; it's a management and a leadership issue. And this question is: an employee wants to take time off but doesn't have any leave left.
Mm.
What should we do? Summer, I'm going to put you on the hot seat first.
Oh man, Joey, that's a tough one. And, I say it's a tough one because it's one that I've actually encountered many times over the course of my career. And, I think first and foremost, you really need to evaluate each situation on a case by case basis, because, I think individual situations may warrant a different approach. So, some of the things that I'm always asking myself are, first of all, how long has the team member been working with us? What are the circumstances? Like, why are they needing the leave? And overall, like, what is their performance level at the company? And I ask all of these things because I think they do all play into um, whether it's practical to be able to grant that time off. But of course, it always comes down to, Joey, like, well, what has the company done in the past, right? Because it's like, do we have a precedent? And I would say, based on your question, I would be assuming that the company doesn't have what I call a discretionary leave policy. Um, and so, you know, that being the case, I think, you evaluate the situation on a case by case basis. And if if it makes sense and the business is able to support the absence, I think that we should absolutely grant the team member the time off if it allows them to address their personal needs and return to work. I mean, the worst case scenario, in my opinion, is that you tell the team member that they can't take the time, and either they continue working and their work suffers, and they're trying to balance their home and work priorities, and they're not really able to, or what if the employee has to resign as a result? So I'm always trying to find the win-win situation in these types of situations. And certainly, if a company doesn't have that discretionary leave policy, Joey, I think that that's going to be key to implement, like on a go forward basis, so that there are some guardrails. And we actually help our clients with this when we're developing their leave policies and handbooks. And we get a lot of questions on it because, naturally they're wondering, well, how do we keep team members from abusing it? And I remind them it's discretionary. It means you can approve it when it's you deem it's appropriate, and you can deny it when you feel like it's not. So that's my thoughts on that situation. Joey, what do you think?
I think that this is an example of why HR isn't so black and white, and why leading people isn't so black and white. There's a lot of gray in it. You had mentioned, how's the person performing, what's their workload like, things of that nature, and you really have to contextualize issues like this, because hopefully, this company and those of you listening today, hopefully you're in a position where someone taking an extra day off isn't going to make or break the organization.
Mhm,
And with that being said, you really want to understand, um, what does it mean to say yes to this approval
mhm,
for our organization, and then what would it mean to say no?
mhm,
Uh, I was in an unrelated conversation to this issue, but in a conversation with two individuals in a company that we consult for, and I could read the room, right? I could tell that this person on one side of the conversation was very heated, frustrated, getting to the point of like, "Hey, you guys could take this job and shove it," right?
mhm,
So you have to be able to read the room, and get a feel for, you know, is this leave, make or break for that person?
mhm,
What is the issue around the leave? Can we extend it, a grace leave? Can we allow them to go into the negative and make it back up?
mhm,
Another factor to consider is it health related? And
mhm,
maybe our policy isn't compliant. So this person should have the leave because they
mhm,
should have a set number of sick time off. Um, but we have to get our systems in place and in order to be compliant. Um, so there's a lot of factors that we would, drill down in on to understand the context of the leave. But ultimately, it goes. I think it's all about relationships, right? So
mhm,
if you invest in this person and say, "Hey, we'll afford you the day or two that you need
mhm,
for whatever the reason may be," um, you have to believe that that person's going to then realize, like, "Hey, the company did me a solid. Like, I didn't have any time left,
mhm,
so I'm going to do my best on the back end to make sure that that time off was worth it to the company." So I think that you give the leave if you can, if
mhm,
there's really good context for why you do that. But you can also have a program where people donate leave. If you have
mhm,
a leave bank where people are donating their leave for matters of health, sickness,
mhm,
bereavement, whatever the case may be. Um, so the short answer is, I think you give a person leave, but it's all about context.
mhm.
Yeah.
To add to that, Joey, I think that for the team members who do truly need this time, it can make a world of difference to them. And sometimes it ultimately means that at the end of that leave, depending on the circumstances, that they still need to part ways with the company. Maybe their circumstances are pretty serious and it requires them to address other things in life. And they know that it's just, it's too much to work at the same time. And while I'm always sad to see a team member go under those circumstances, as people leader, and also providing this counsel to other leaders, I think we can all feel good that even if that is the end result, after a team member has needed some time off, then you can at least know that the company did everything within their power. And I know that team members are always very appreciative um, of those efforts, and you can't not feel good about that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. Oh man, we got to get some more of our team on the show to give their perspective too. I think it'll be fun to get some more folks and talk about topics like this because we're seeing it all the time. I mean,
Mhm.
the fun thing about working in our space is that we have a great joy in the diversity of the types of clients that we work for, but they all have similar issues and similar
Mhm.
challenges, and so we're able to take our reflections from one set of clients and apply
Mhm.
it to another, and then our own personal backgrounds. The HR that we have brought to the organization, our experiences. So if you have a question that you want us to tackle in Consultants Corner, go ahead and shoot us an email at hello@jumpstart-hr.com. We'll talk about anything from PTO to holiday parties to what's a controversial topic that we should probably talk about in the upcoming weeks. Probably use or lose vacation,
Mhm.
or I don't know, expense reimbursements, but I don't know. I'm talking about all the boring things.
Joey, I had an inquiry, and so I'd be curious to know if some of the listeners or viewers would be interested in these topics. But there was actually two that were sent to me, and one was, how long should you stay at a job if you know that it's not the right fit? Like, is there a certain amount of time that you should stay so that it doesn't look bad on your resume? And then the follow up question to that was, is the cover letter dead? And I thought, gosh, those are like two really great questions. So we'll have to make sure that we chat about those on a future episode.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Especially the cover letter one. I have my own thoughts, and we have dedicated recruiters on our team, so
Mhm.
we could bring someone up to chat about that topic. Yeah, yeah. Now we're talking. Now these are the juicy ones that you've got to subscribe. You've got to subscribe so that you don't miss it. So if you like this episode, make sure to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts because that helps spread awareness. And like I said, we debuted at 112, but looking forward to climbing the charts and helping more HR pros and people leaders lead and navigate through these interesting and challenging times. Summer, thanks so much as always for joining me on the show. Do you have any parting thoughts you want to share?
I appreciate it, Joey, and it's always so great to be here. Just looking forward to hearing from our viewers and our listeners on questions or topics that they'd like for us to discuss. And we'll see you guys back here next week.
All right.